The real problem here in America. Folks, this is going to be a hard-hitting, awesome story. If you don't know who I am Joe Simonds, like diamonds. Welcome back to the Joe Simonds Like Diamonds show. And this story that I want to share with you all begins at a convention full of baseball coaches. And there's an older gentleman up speaking in front of all these coaches. And these are baseball coaches from Little League all the way to Major League. And this old man has a necklace around his neck, and at the bottom has a big home plate. And he starts talking about this home plate and asks them, why do you think I'm wearing this home plate? And of course, no one knows. And he starts with asking a question, how many of you are Little League baseball coaches? And a bunch of hands go up. And he says, Little League baseball coaches, please tell me, how wide is home plate? And they all said 17 inches. Then he goes to the high school baseball coaches, asks them the same question. High school baseball coaches, raise your hand in here. How wide is your home plate? And they all say 17 inches. Then he goes to the college baseball coaches next. College baseball coaches, how wide is home plate? And they all say 17 inches. And then he goes to the cream of the crop, the Major League baseball coaches. Baseball coaches, Major League, raise your hand. How wide is home plate in the Major Leagues? 17 inches. He said, that's right. You know, for years, from generations, from the Little Leagues to Major League, from back when Babe Ruth was playing to today, home plate has always been 17 inches wide. That's one thing that has never changed about baseball. It's like, here's the one thing that you'll never hear behind home plate from an umpire or from a coach or from Major League Baseball in general, is if a player can't hit consistently a ball, a fastball, curveball, whatever, over that 17 inches, you'll never hear someone say, you know what, you're trying your best. Well, let's just widen it for you from 17 to 20, right? Let's just widen it from 17 to 20, maybe even 25 inches if you're having trouble hitting it. No, of course not, right? What happens if a pitcher can't throw a ball over that 17-inch plate consistently? They're in AAA or minor leagues, single A, and eventually they're gone. They have no job. And of course, even in little leagues, if you can't consistently throw the ball over the plate, you're no longer a pitcher, and you no longer get a chance to go up to the major leagues. It's one thing that has never ever changed in the history of baseball. It's a rule that will not be bent. And they will never give someone leeway just because they like them or they're trying hard or they're lazy or whatever it might be. And you might be wondering, all right, Joe, what does this have to do with America and with society? It has a lot to do. And I was reading this story and kind of asking the same thing, and I'm going to read some of it here. And the guy does bring us up, and he says the following. He says, you know what? This is the problem in our homes today. It's a problem in our marriages today. It's a problem with the way we parent our kids. It's a problem with our discipline. We don't teach kids accountability, and there's no consequence anymore for failing to meet the standards, for failing to get the ball over the 17 inches. We continue to widen the plate in our society, and it is so true. And then he pauses, this gentleman speaking, and he points to the top of the building where there's an American flag. And he says, this is a problem in our schools today here in America. The quality of our education is going downhill so fast, and the teachers have been stripped of all the tools they need to be successful, and they can't educate and they can't discipline kids the way they need to be disciplined, in the way they need to be educated. I mean, think about what's happened in our schools today. You can't, gosh forbid you spank a kid or raise your voice to them, that you could lose your job as a teacher. I mean, they have been stripped of all the tools because we continue to widen the plate. We've allowed others to widen the plate and to make new rules for us here in America and in our schools. And then there's a lot of silence in the audience, as you can imagine. And then he actually changes it from a flag to now asking everyone to think of a cross. And he says, you know what, this is the same problem in church today, where powerful people in positions of authority have taken advantage of the churches. They've taken advantage of young children in some cases, and only to have everything just kind of swept underneath a rug. Our church leaders, many of them are also widening home plate for themselves. And the bad news is, we allow it. And this same thing happens not just in churches, but in mosques and in synagogues. It's happening across the country in all types of religious backgrounds. And the same is true for the government, right? Our so-called representatives, they make their own rules right now that really just apply to them sometimes, and sometimes don't apply to them and only apply to us. I mean, it's crazy what's going on there. They take bribes from lobbyists, they're from foreign countries are now giving money to our representatives here in America to get stuff done, and we allow it. They no longer serve us anymore. They've literally widened the plate to a point I don't even know if it can be brought back. I hope it can. It's sad to see our country kind of falling in a dark abyss. I mean, we're more separated than at any other point, I believe, in probably American history, right? And I don't mean just Republicans and Democrats. I'm talking about religions and people of different colors and ethnicities. I mean, it's sad how far we've widened home plate and just honestly kind of got lost. And we make so many exceptions in both our family lives and in our marriages and in everything that we've just literally widened home plate way past the 17-inch mark. And I hope you get something out of this, and maybe you'll never run for a representative for Congress, senator, or president, or whatever it might be. Most likely you probably won't. But you can remember this one thing. What in your life have you allowed to be extended? What in your life used to have a defined home plate, a defined 17 inches, and now you've allowed it to get 20 inches, 25, or many feet wide? I know for me, for like our kids, when we lived in Atlanta, Georgia, it was the TV. It used to be we only let our kids watch TV for 30 minutes. And that 30 minutes then went to 45 and then an hour. And next thing you know, we got lazy as parents, honestly, and wanted to do stuff and wanted to get work done downstairs. And all of a sudden it went to a couple hours. And before too long, there's no rules at all. That's how you can have a home plate get extended to all of a sudden where you don't even recognize it anymore. So I challenge you in your own lives, both personally and professionally, with your families, with your churches or synagogues, with your religions, and with your own communities, start asking yourself, where has home plate been extended? Where has home plate almost unrecognizable anymore, right? And how can we bring it back, and how can we have rules in place that empower everyone and to make everyone in every place that we are better, including USA, right here in America? And that's really where it all begins and ends, right? And that's where, think about home plate, baseball. Nothing's more American than baseball, right? Come on. That's it. Joe Simonds over now. And I'm looking at the time here. I've gone over, but I hope you got something out of that, and hope you remember just that home plate analogy and what can you change in your life and what can you bring back to a true standard that will not be changed. And if anyone goes over it, they've broken the rules, and you're not going to extend it for them. That's it. Stay tuned to another chapter. Over and out.